So this is the LG 2020 Nanocell 75-inch 8K TV. This is by far the biggest TV I've ever owned. I'm redoing my basement setup, even though this is being filmed in my studio, and I wanted a bigger TV to fill up the wall. So why the LG Nanocell and not one of LG's OLED TVs, which offer those insane deep blacks? The answer is simple: price, features, and future. The price is $4,500 US for the 75-inch 8K model, compared to $20,000 for an LG OLED 8K TV. That's a $15,000 difference. Sure, the design is not as sleek as some LG OLEDs or the bezels nano like LG's claiming, but they're thin enough. You could also argue that 8K is useless, and I wouldn't disagree, considering there's no 8K content unless you include the videos you can shoot with a smartphone. But having an 8K TV nets you double the amount of pixels of a 4K TV, meaning anything with lower resolution gets upscaled to make it look like 8K. LG does this by using the Alpha 9 processor paired with AI. Contrast, textures, and edges are sharpened, and it makes older content look cleaner. The image gets post-processed before hitting your eyeballs. This procedure is done with LG's nanoparticles, which is a fancy term for taking impure colors and reproducing them to look better. I didn't see much of a difference for 4K content, but for media film below 4K, it's noticeable. Just like with most modern TVs, it supports HDR, HDR10, HDR10 Pro, HLD, Dolby Vision IQ, Dolby Atmos, and even Bluetooth. Basically everything. The next thing was features, and LG has stacked this TV with everything that I want. WebOS, LG's UI that runs the smart TV interface, gives me access to all the important platforms: Netflix, Prime Video, Disney+, YouTube, Apple TV, and even Plex. If there's an app you need, you can hop on into the LG web store and download it to the TV. LG's remote control feels like using a Nintendo Wii controller to move through the menus, which feels really weird. I'm not a fan of it, but thankfully you can ignore the swinging motions and just use the buttons like you normally would with any other controller. I can push content from my phone, tablet, or computer since the TV has Chromecast, AirPlay 2.0, voice-activated Google Assistant, or Alexa built in. Honestly, this is the first time that I didn't have to use a Roku or Amazon Fire Stick. There's plenty of ports: 4 HDMI, which they do support 2.1, 3 USB, optical input, component ports, and an Ethernet jack. That means I can have my Sonos, Xbox, and future PS5 hooked up to the back with one HDMI port to spare. Also, it supports eARC, which is better than ARC. eARC has higher bandwidth, allowing Dolby Atmos and surround sound services to be used, which can't be done with regular ARC. With gaming being such an integral part of my life, having a 120Hz panel with AMD's FreeSync is fantastic. The upcoming Xbox Series X and PS5 will eventually have titles that can run at 120Hz. Or, if you're crazy, you can connect a PC to this TV and take advantage of that high refresh rate. The response time is not going to be as good as a 1 millisecond LG gaming monitor, but 10 milliseconds in gaming mode is really good for a TV. Now, the picture quality is really good for an IPS panel. Over 1000 nits of peak brightness, good blacks, and punchy colors. Out of all the picture profiles, I'd stay away from most of them except for standard. Most of the other ones tend to crush the blacks, removing too much detail in the shadows. Standard offers the best balance, but also lets you turn off motion smoothing, or you can just turn on filmmaker mode that plays content the way the filmmaker intended it to be. I truly despise motion smoothing. It kills the cinematic feel. The only time to use it is when you're watching sports or playing video games. As for sound, there's 60 watts of it with Dolby Atmos support. For TV speakers, they sound pretty good, but not as good as a proper soundbar. Definitely better than my current Hisense TV, but I'll be hooking up my Sonos system to it. So here's the bottom line. I love this TV. It packs all the features I want, has great picture quality, and the 8K upscaling is nice for older content. But I feel like you're still paying an 8K tax. There's no 8K content available, and most of the features and functions can be had on a 4K LG TV at a lower price point. If you keep your TVs for a very long time and want to future-proof 8K, then this is one of the better options out there for the price. However, I think for most people, buying a 4K TV is still the way to go. I'll place a link to this TV in the description down below, along with some of LG's 4K options that might be of interest to you. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, because if you did, feel free to hit the like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.